Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, January 23rd. We're on the European account. We need to get at least 2 of these things done. I need to win 4 games on any mode and play 12 beasts, so I guess that means if I just come over here, go to Hunter, Midrange Hunter, and choose to just play casual. I think that's where we need to be. We still have a decent amount of news to cover, and pretty much once we're done with the news, we'll be done with today's stream. So let's just hop into it and cover this. Gamma Sutra has an article. It's a blog. The conflicting design of the Zelda Rogue. I kind of get what they're saying there. Like, making a Zelda rogue game or roguelike game is kind of different, because a Zelda game is very much a designed product. Like, they've never made something, with the exception of mods that run randomizers on some of mostly the Game Boy versions of Zelda games that move the items around. Everything was placed and is by default placed in Zelda games exactly where it would be logical and on the path to find it. A rogue game, on the other hand, is very much randomized, and everything is in a different place every time you play it. Although I don't know if that's inherently a conflict, because I kind of would never say a Zelda game or a Metroidvania game where a Zelda game was like a Metroidvania game, and this almost is a comparison of the wrong thing to the wrong thing in this blog, because the real comparison is any of the Metroid games, everything was still procedurally placed and thought out, compared to a rogue game where things would be randomized. But those two games are a lot more similar than what a Zelda game is. A Zelda game is an action-adventure game. Maybe with a little bit of exploration in there, but that's such a generic descriptor, you really wouldn't use it. Often you'll see articles by bad writers like this, which I assume that's what this is, without really reading the article. But in general speaking, you'll often see bad writers make these false comparisons of things that don't have any real connection to anything. Let's go ahead and attack here.
It's time for sure.
And then do that. Then end the turn. Gamma Sutra has another article that's a feature, The Secret History of Donkey Kong, which I imagine, to me at least, there really is no there's probably not anything I don't already know about Donkey Kong. And this is like 3 different pages. And that's weird on Gamma Sutra for them to even fill in 1 page to completion. And clearly they're just going for views, page views here. Also, this Secret History of Donkey Kong feature was originally published July 6th of 2011, so this is just them republishing articles. Which they've gotten really bad about that. this sucks.
I can't do that.
This minion can't attack. Darn it. Well. Moving on, Gamma Sutra has an article, a real article, or a news piece. Square Enix has trademarked the name of the Octopath Traveler's art style. What they were calling HD-2D graphics art style. So the Japanese developers trademarked HD-2D and HD no-2D, so just HD 2D.
I wonder.
Company has used both to describe the Switch's RPG's unique art style, which combines 16-bit character sprites and textures with polygonal 3D environments and high-definition effects. I don't know if I particularly agree with them copywriting that. It seems pretty ridiculous to me. Let's just keep smashing there.
Quickly.
Now, I suppose they will, if they're spending the extra effort to trademark that phrase in Europe, particularly it was trademarked in Europe, this is probably a point where they're going to try and defend a copyright on that art style if anybody tries to do something too similar. And that kind of sucks. It's a lot like the Spider-Man movie where Sony invented some great art styles to do the animated Spider-Man movie, and then they immediately copyrighted it, so or trying to copyright it so nobody else can use it. Darn it, still not gonna win. Like one short. I'd like a better picture of Octopath Traveler, though, because they're kind of. I kind of remember what it looks like, but I'd kind of like to see what it looks like in practice. Like, because I mostly only saw the cover art. Yeah, looking at the actual gameplay screenshots, I don't think they really have a claim for copyright, because this has been done before. This is just the Paper Mario art style. You've just got a thick shadow and ink background on a 3D environment. That's exactly what Paper Mario did. And the art style of the cover art is much more interesting visually to me than what the actual game looks like. Right. Did we lose? Yes. But did we play beasts? Yes. If I get desperate, I'll just go and play something. Not sure exactly what I'll do, but there's definitely some solo stuff we could do. Moving on, Gamma Sutra has an article, Get a Job, Disbelief is hiring a junior programmer in Chicago. So yeah, Chicago, Illinois. If you want to be a junior programmer on this company that does support work, they apparently worked on Gears of War 4 and Borderlands, the Handsome Collection, and Perception, which those are kind of big name titles. Like, I don't know really if you're going to break into the video game programming world if you have to work for a third-party company that does support work before you get hired by a first-party company that makes their own games, or if you can just get lucky and get hired by a first-person party. A lot of it has to do with who you know, where you live, which school did you go to. Let's see. Moving on, Gamasutra has an article, How Machine Learning is Helping Fans Remaster Retro Classics. Interesting. Piece of software called AI Gigapixel is currently helping Final Fantasy VII players improve the resolution of the game's backdrops and making it easier on the eyes. The program uses machine learning to understand how to improve images by comparing high-resolution snap with a low-resolution version of the same picture, and before trying to bridge the gap between the two. Although the results might be haphazard at first, as the software begins to understand what makes the high-resolution image better, it should start to deliver results. Give me that one, yeah, that's what I want. Let's see. One Final Fantasy modder that goes by the name of Kappa Robau has already provided a glimpse of what AI Gigapixel is capable of by running Final Fantasy VII's backgrounds to the program. As the comparison below shows, the software has managed to make some noticeable improvements, delivering backgrounds that are noticeably sharper and chock full of detail. It's an interesting technique that's full of potential, with some publishers already employing similar methods to improve aging titles on the fly. Keen to hear more? Then you want to check out the full article over at VentureBeat. So there's a comparison here, and we haven't done a web peek yet today, so on this recording let's just do a web peek. So here is the backgrounds, and so we're looking at like the backgrounds here, not the characters. The characters are extremely low polygon ugly. This is it vanilla, and this is it with the remake HD mod. So you're seeing an increase in sharpness on the backgrounds, but not honestly as much as I would have hoped. I was hoping for a little bit more there, like. Hey, this really looks more like it's just, yeah, and there's no more screenshots either, so. And if I'm understanding it right, apparently you need a high resolution master in the first place, which the right way to do that then would be to have that high resolution master just in the download. For as much as I don't know if the AI is really adding anything to that equation. Meanwhile, while this modder is trying to remod Final Fantasy XVII, Square Enix is also trying to remake Final Fantasy VII, so it's so we're in this waiting pattern, I suppose, to see if anybody actually finishes a remake that's worth playing. Moving on, we have a Gematsu article from Software's president, Hidetake Miyazaki, on the possibility of a Demon's Souls remaster. And then the subtitle here is, he does not want to make it himself, comma, but would like it if another studio did. So basically he would be willing to license and take all the success and profit from a Demon's Souls remake, but he doesn't want to spend any of his own resources in there.
You have better.
Demon's Souls was first released on the PS3 in February 2009, so it's a 10-year-old game. It's also the first game Miyazaki, first action fantasy game that Miyazaki created, according to a quote there. Right, that's one victory. We need to play one more Beasts. And then I'm gonna move on to single player. See if I can get some big victories faster. Okay, let me just double check this game is what I think it is before we do the web peek.
Rexa versus Gul'dan.
Your soul shall be mine. Let the hunt
Man,
begin.
this is a lot of screenshots. So next we have a game on Steam called Super Game Bear with its 3 girlfriends, and then a ton of Asian characters, and it says GBC here, which makes me think this might be a Game Boy Color port. It looks like it's kind of an RPG Maker style game, but also this just might be a low effort game. Then you have this battle screenshots that seem to stand out. $3.99, and it's English and Chinese, or it says it's English. I don't think it really is even translated to English. So yeah, this looks like a bad Chinese game if I were to guess, and thus it's not making it to the follow list. We'll do that.
Job's done.
Next we have a game on Steam called The Settlers Heritage of Kings History Edition from Ubisoft. So this looks like it's maybe a cell phone game ported to. It's not interesting looking, and even though it's a Ubisoft product, I've seen no advertisement or hype for it. So unless this is a release of an old game, seems like it's nothing. $11.99. Yeah, visually it's just uninteresting. I'm not sure if there's a series of games called The Settlers. There probably is, but again, that doesn't interest me. Yeah, I'm not interested in that. And then the next game we have on the list is The Settlers Rise of an Empire History Edition. So these must just be like remasters or slight changes. And I wonder what the History Edition really means. Does that mean it's a remaster, or does that mean they took out some fantasy element? Does that mean they whitewashed some negative part of history that really happened? It says it's Windows 10 compatible and multiplayer via Uplay.
I wonder.
These really just feel like re-releases, but it is nice to see, I guess, that they're not keeping games on Uplay only, for no reason. Which we still have, like, Alice Madness Returns is still not available. Not available on Steam. Moving on, we have a game called The Settlers 7 History Edition. Yeah, these will almost be re-releases. $14.99. And clearly they didn't spend much time writing a description or anything here. Yeah. None of these really strike me as the real-time strategy game that I would want to play. Like, somebody would really have to sell me hard on buying the Settlers and playing it. I'm just gonna do that. Is the next game gonna be a Settlers game? No. Instead, let me just check all the screenshots and make sure that they're relatively acceptable, since this is a game with sexual content in it. Yeah, I think we're cool to show this. We have Sinran Kagura Burst Renewal, and I believe this is just out and it's already mostly positive. I don't think it was in early access or anything. This is just the newest one. $39.99. I believe this was one of the games that had the intimacy mode removed on the PS4 version, but I think it's still in here. Tag sexual content and nudity. Now, it's not really surprising that Sinran Kagura games are still being allowed on Steam, but it has been a couple of weeks now since we've heard any story of any other games or any real legitimate games being blocked from being sold on Steam, so maybe it really was just a rogue employee. I mean, it would have been nice to get some confirmation of that, but it doesn't seem like we're ever going to be able to get that kind of closure. Sinran Kagura Burst Renewal is a beat-em-up hack and slash Ninja Girl game series with clothes that when damage falls off.
So many possibilities.
Let's see. Trying to kind of look at the reviews of this just to make sure that this isn't a re-release. There's some negative reviews saying Sinran Kagura can't even maintain 30 frames per second at a 1060, although a 1060 is about the lowest graphics card you can have. And let's see, the DLC doesn't seem to be terrible at all. There's 2 free pieces of DLC right now, and the background music is $4.98. You can buy the limited edition for $49.99, which is going to, I guess, be 4 extra pieces of DLC that are going to come out later, so that's like the season pass. Is there really anything to say here as I'm watching the video and the trailer? Not really, it's just a beat 'em up hack and slash game. If you want to play a beat 'em up hack and slash game with anime girls that have clothes that break down to the level of a two-piece bikini, and doesn't probably show much more consistently. Senran Kagura is the series for you. I'll put this on my wish list, and honestly I probably could get away with playing the entirety of the Senran Kagura series as long as I was slightly careful and just didn't put on certain costumes and didn't maybe cut out a few key scenes. Like, I imagine you might get something at the end of a boss fight. You might get some actual nudity, toplessness, but that's probably all you're gonna get. Yeah, it's tagged with partial nudity. That's toplessness, or maybe a buttocks, not anything really hardcore. Moving on to the next game. It's almost like they're in alphabetical order. It's like we did all the games that were settlers, and then we went to Senran Kagura. Although I guess that would be opposite order. The opposite of alphabetical. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called At Sundown Shots in the Dark, a top-down twin-stick shooter. I've at this point resolved that I just don't want to play any top-down twin-stick shooters. This one in particular feels like it's suffering from dark screenshot syndrome to hide a lack of content. And yeah, not really seeing anything here. $13.49 discounted for a game that's part single player and part multiplayer, it feels like. So yep, not interested there. Hit that, and win. So we got the beast played, and we have 3 victories now. We still have a reroll. So if I come over here, and let's see, I don't think you can win on the Boomsday Project in this way. If you can, like, I haven't done any of this.
Why don't you tour the facility?
There you go.
Interested in my Necrium experiment?
We'll just really quickly jump in here and see if we can do that. If not, dungeon runs or the Rostacon's Rumble or anything like that is easy enough to do.
Become a poison tester today. Just sign right here.
We'll start you off with some pain tolerance testing. Try and knock him out.
Wait, I am the recipient. Let me check my contract.
So, puzzle done. If at that point I would have succeeded, that should have counted.
Painful.
This. And then 4 damage here. And that.
All right.
So at that point I should be done. And we can run through this first tier, I think, pretty easily.
It can't be that bad, right?
Wind Fury. And that.
Get in there and fight, maggot.
And attack. Twice. While we're doing this, TechRaptor has an article, Centennial Horror arrives this spring in World End Syndrome, which I think is a visual novel. No, I guess this is... No, I'm confusing it with a different game. I was thinking of Our World Is Ended. Let's see, so if we hit that, and then we hit that, and then I do this, and this, and this. There we go.
Whoa, 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 hold it there, close enough.
I'm watching the trailer for this game. It seems like, yeah, it seems like it's a horror visual nightmare.
Signed in ink.
Let's see, rush. Whenever they get damaged, deal 1 damage to everybody. And okay, so this. I should pump this guy up quite a bit. And then I can do 2 damage to this guy. And then I don't know if this is enough. I may have had to do 2 damage to this guy. Interesting. It's been a while, certainly. Alright, so this. Hurt that guy. Do that. Do that. And then do that. Well, the article ends. World End Syndrome arrives on the Nintendo Switch and PS4 this spring. It's coming from P-Cube. Might be an interesting visual novel horror game, but we're kind of early. Destroy a minion and return it to life when health is full. Destroy, deal 5 damage. So if I just do this, and then maybe play this, I'm like 1 short. So if I do this and then do that, there we go.
Check that one off the list.
2 more, and these are getting slightly more
having
difficult.
Trouble. Experiment. That's what we're here for.
Spell damage. Spell damage. Next thing we do, get a little bit more spell damage.
Starlight.
But I'm short. So I would not be able to do that. So we're gonna have to try again.
At least I will build up a tolerance to this.
We'll go and start with this. This will do, I think, enough to kill that.
Starlight.
Clone. Okay. could do this. And I can do this. But that still leaves me 3 short. Interesting. Now the problem with doing these solo adventures on screen is that it messes me up as far as trying to trying to do other things. Yeah, that's the best we can get. Is that. And then I would have to be able to cast one more spell, which would kill this, and then let me do that. I know I've beaten all of these, so there is a way to do it.
Not quite potent enough, but do not give up.
What if we do this instead? And this. And then this. That. That. Ow. One short again. Interesting.
A stronger brew means a bigger paycheck for us, right?
So if we do that, and then that.
Starlight.
And
I can't do that.
there we go. Got it.
Yeah, that works.
Last one. Last puzzle. And then we'll reset. Or second to last one. Destroy a friendly minion. Summon 2 copies of it. Double the damage and healing power of your damage and healing of your healing power. Alright, so I did this.
Shut it down.
And then trigger its death rattle. And then change this health to 1. And then do that. This should be double, 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 which would be 4, 8, 16, 32. And that worked. I do not believe that card actually exists where you can use it and play. So, Plan B. And I believe all we have to do is play this.
I think that will do. I'm going to go lie down.
So I was wondering if perhaps you have to do an entire row of puzzles for that to count towards anything as far as daily quests, but it's kind of clearly obvious that that's not the case, that these puzzles just don't count towards the daily quest at all. So the good news is these others, I think, do. So if we want to pick Rastakan's Rumble,
Want to compete? The winner take all.
we should be able to pick
The
something.
source of your power. It begins the game in play.
Oh.
8 other trolls stand between you.
So we've got some other games to talk about while we're doing this. We have a game on Steam called Sonar Beat, which looks like it is maybe a bullet hell shooter using the concept of sonar. I kind of need to see this play. It's $2.49. Now I guess it's a rhythm game where you hit the buttons as the dial spins, so it's not very much actually to do with sonar. Yeah, as somebody who doesn't really have any rhythm, this doesn't look like a game that I'd be interested in playing. On top of that, it's kind of missing some polish that I'd like to see. Anytime you make a music game like this, you have an interface that needs to look really pretty, and then you need to add probably something else to distract from the fact that the interface is pretty simplistic, to have some kind of artistic theme to it. Alright. Let's change that one. These two are good. In fact, these two alone might win the game for me.
The shrine to your loa gives you great power. Protect it.
So here we have a shrine that just has taunt, but after your hero takes damage, deal 5 damage to your opponent.
Flesh fails. Try this.
So I do 5 damage to me, playing that character that does 5 damage to him. Next turn I play this and I win. Let's just quickly play this and then end the turn, or we don't even have to end. So the first ones of these are always pretty easy. And that's kind of all I needed to do, so we'll leave that.
In the arena, more join your cause. Choose your rewards.
There we go. So we'll leave this to reroll for Friday, and let's move over to the Asian account. Do the Tavern Brawl. Warcraft 3 Spoils of War Edition reward. Apparently there's a new card back you can get. So we've got this game on Steam called Future Grind. Giant Bomb actually covered this, and that's becoming a rarity these days. By the way, Giant Bomb did apparently add a new employee, but they didn't really make a big deal about it. Like, it seems pretty typical that every January somebody new either gets hired or leaves, and I thought some people might leave, but it seems more like they just hired more people on, or one more person, it seems. Let's see, Druid, Hunter, Paladin, Priest. Let's play Priest and get those two spells, get spells and Priest cards done. As for Future Grind, it's too complicated a game for me. It's this, you have to flip your wheels to match the colors of the platforms to do these kind of skateboarding tricks, and yeah, if you're really good at skateboarding or something like a bike game like Trials, it might be something that you'd be very interested in looking into. But for me, it just looks like another one of those games that would be a frustration piece where yeah, this looks cool on the video certainly, but it's not really what my experience would be with it. And the bike blows up if you do the wrong color, so there's going to be a lot of grinding, a lot of failing. It's $19.99 discounted. So yeah, it's just another one of those games that's just not for me. So it's not going to go on the wish list. End our turn here. Next we have a game on Steam called Time of the Zombies, which clearly first look is a low effort asset flip zombie game with basically nothing in it. None of the assets match or look correct or similar. It's $5.94 discounted. Yep, not something of interest.
Is someone injured?
In the turn. We already talked about this article, but GameIndustry.biz has it too. Hothead Game launches a mobile publishing arm. Killshot developer tells us now is the perfect size to bring more studios free-to-play titles to the market. And it tells us it's now the perfect size to bring more studios free-to-play titles to market. Let's see.
Right away.
I've been watching a lot of the games done quick speedrun games that are now coming out on their YouTube channels, and I watched an all collectibles run of BioShock 1, and that was fun, certainly. Just as a side note, like I know I played BioShock Remastered probably a year or two ago, and honestly, if I was gonna look back and not play all the new games I already have, I would certainly consider going back and playing BioShock 1. I'm at a weird point though where I don't remember if it was better to play the remastered version or the original version. I think it's still better to play the original version. But I might be wrong about that. Game of Sutra has this article we already talked about. Sony is rolling out PlayStation Now for new European territories. PlayStation Now launched in North America back in 2014, so it's been a long time. Sorry for coughing again. I'm wearing out my voice. Game of Sutra has an interesting article. My time at Porsche developers compensate voice actors for unpaid wages. Pathia Games, developer behind the role-playing game My Time at Porsche, which is a game I've been seeing promoted on Steam quite a bit, have come over fire over reportedly withholding payments to its voice actors for several months.
Right away.
Which
By the light.
certainly that's not unheard of to happen in many industries. Although seemingly resolved at this point, this is still important to highlight, especially since developers, both big and small, should pay their workers and contractors a fair agreed upon rate in a timely manner. The problem seems to date back as far as October of 2018, where the treatment of My Time at Porsche's voice actors was detailed in a Steam thread which has since been locked. Most of the issues seem to resolve around compensation, with the author of the post writing how voice actors were reportedly being paid only $50 for 100 plus lines of voice dialogue. A handful of voice actors took to Twitter to express their dismay over how Pathia Games seemed to handle the situation thus far, As of January 19th, my time at Porsche sits at #1 in the Steam Global Top Sellers list, leading many to wonder if the sales from those copies sold are finally being used to pay contractors. Which is definitely a possibility.
In the light's name.
Let's see. And can we do anything else? Not right now. Let's see. Pathia Games has put out a statement over the issue as well, explaining how it was an oversight issue with one of our designers, although it's unclear if that meant said designer forgot about the voice actors or they didn't oversee the actors properly. Quote, I guess, can't write a long comment here on Twitter, so please see our content in the picture below for voice acting issue we're facing. Interesting that they would just put a picture, and then this article just picture does not get reposted on Gamasutra. So that's just bad writing.
In the light's name.
There we go. The picture says this was an oversight issue with one of our designers, but we take responsibility as a company. We are truly sorry for this issue, and we will have better oversight in place to make sure that this doesn't happen again. We're actively reaching out to actors and sending any payments we have missed. If you know of any actors that may have been missed, please have them contact us as soon as possible. So it seems like a designer, literally without any oversight or go ahead or accounting, hired some voice actors and then didn't pay them.
To Northrend! Victory!
Which is, I mean, that's somewhat believable actually, because if you're this small-time video game developer, you might tell somebody, hey, go get some voice acting, and then they might not know that they had to submit the time and the amount of work that those voice actors did so that they could get compensated. Like, personally, I don't think I would immediately know how in any company to subcontract or hire somebody out and make sure they got paid.
My dragon be hungry.
Moving on, the CEO of YouTube, Susan Wojcicki, has been characteristically silent on anything really having to do with anything YouTube. She did post about a week earlier, well, a few days earlier, about blind YouTubers who are making content that's more accessible, and like, okay, but how many of the audience of people who watch YouTube are blind, and what can any regular YouTuber do about that? In a similar way, there was a video about putting in closed captions. I'd love to have closed captions in my video on there. There are the automatic closed captions, but it is a ridiculous waste of time for anybody to try and caption themselves and put those captions on their videos unless you're doing very, very little speaking. But she did tweet out one thing. YouTube TV is officially becoming available nationwide. YouTube TV, of course, being not YouTube at all, and just another distraction trying to replace YouTube with mainstream TV content. So yeah, she's still not really supporting the company that she's in charge of, and instead promoting TV, the competitor. I guess at this point, the question is: Susan Wojcicki a useful idiot to mainstream television and movies, or is she actually a spy at this point? Because she's certainly not doing anything for YouTube content creators of any level. Moving on, though I don't want to get into a rant. We have a game called Diesel Express VR, which looks like it's a bit of a Mad Max style idea, but I guess you're on a train and you're defending the train, or you're on cars and defending the cars. $9.99. It feels like it's another one of these games where you're just standing in one place and shooting at some generic enemies. There's a little bit more polish here than what you would call just a low effort game, but only barely. And I frankly would not recommend naming your company Lazy Lab. That's not a smart move.
Face the light. Face the light.
So of course that's not making it to the wish list. Draw a card. Just gonna go ahead and heal this guy.
Face the light. Face the light.
Next we have a game on Steam called John Schaefer's At the Gates, which, if this is like a new release of a very old game, maybe it would have some relevancy if it was a game I recognize, but I don't think it is. So I kind of feel like this is a brand new game just trying to feel like it's an old game. They're saying it's from John Schaefer, designer of Civ 5. That doesn't really mean anything though to me. Like, if I was gonna get into the Civ series of games, I'd probably want to play Civ 5 first, and then maybe I would get this game if I really like Civ 5. But in its current price of $26.99 discounted, that is really expensive, and I don't feel like this needs to be on a follow list or a wish list until I made some major decisions.
Face the light.
Until this guy decides to do something, I can't really do anything. YouTube was also having a problem of videos not showing up in
magic shall not save
not appearing on your channel page, the subs feeds, or just basically anywhere. So yeah, YouTube was having some a major hiccup. Not really a big deal, though. Let's see, this, and then this, and then
Face the light.
this,
The pleasure is mine.
and this, and heal, and heal just for play the cards. Gamasutra has an article. Epic Games acquires the digital character specialist 3Lateral. 3Lateral apparently is a leading developer in digital human tech for an undisclosed feed. The Serbia-based company offers a variety of services, including character conceptualization, face rigging, 3D scanning, and modeling. It has worked on well-known games including Hellblade, Horizon Zero Dawn, Grand Theft Auto 5, and Batman Arkham VR. So, okay. So Epic, the creators of Fortnite, spent their money on acquiring a company. That's not a super large surprise. This is probably a good acquisition, frankly, for Epic, because when you look at Fortnite and the content they've created, they really got lucky more than they succeeded, and they need to probably make something that's more hyper-realistic and looks really good. I don't think they can just stick with the cartoony animation of Fortnite for the long haul.
Is someone injured?
Job's done.
Epic says it also hopes its presence in Serbia will allow it to recruit new technical and creative talent in that region. Now is the beginning of the year, so now is the time where acquisitions and hirings will happen more frequently, and then by the end of the year, people will get fired, certainly. Game of Sutra has an article. Adobe acquires substance tool creator Allegorithmic, Allegorithmic. It's a French company behind Substance 3D material and texture creation toolkit that's used by a wide variety of game studios, including major studios and publishers such as EA, Activision, Ubisoft, and Naughty Dog. There's a little bit of a video here showing like a troll, Warcraft troll. Yeah, it seems like it does some stuff. This is kind of inside baseball though, so I don't know if so yeah, I don't know if how much of that is actually going to be useful for Adobe, the makers of Photoshop. They really don't have anywhere to go to make Photoshop any better other than just acquiring a bunch of people that make plugins, and so that's kind of all they're doing. They've just got to continue to justify the extremely high cost for Photoshop, and so that's really all they're doing, is they're taking money and acquiring companies, because they really can't do anything to make Photoshop look different. Otherwise, people that use Photoshop now won't want to learn it. They really can't do too much otherwise. Anyways.
Job's done.
Okay. Moving on. Game of Sutra has an article. According to NPD, the Nintendo Switch was the best-selling console in 2018 in the US, which is not super surprising. Like, most people who wanted a PS4 and Xbox One have already gotten one or two. The Switch is the new console, so that makes sense. Now, if a new console comes out this year, there's a chance of that. But an Xbox 2 and PlayStation 6, those will certainly be the best sellers if they come out this year. Otherwise, the Switch is definitely also put in the same position where it will still be. Silence all enemies, draw a card. Let's see this.
Mushroom power!
This. And
Feel my pain. The doctor is in.
Next we have a game on Steam called Fun VR Farm, which that's a pretty low effort game. I kind of like this animation style, but it feels like it's very possibly stolen. Like this really does feel like is leaning heavily on a Harvest Moon aesthetic. But it's VR, it's $3.59. I bet there's not a lot to do in this. And because it's VR, I'm not going to bother to put it on the fall list. I think there's 2 reviews. One is the only one in English is negative.
Where have you been hiding?
Alright.
Where have you been hiding?
Well, how about you be silent?
Quickly.
He's shuffling cards from my deck, so he has more cards. I don't know what his goal here is with that. Just keep on playing cards. Next we have a game on Steam called Ninja ? It looks like it's one of these run and jump games that are probably actually just asset flips. Seems like there's probably a demo game that is very similar to a demo in the Unity store that lets you make these games really easily. This is by far the worst version of this game I've seen, of this type of game. It's free, so the price is right, I guess, but the name is low effort, the graphics look low effort, doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's too dark, there's just a score in the middle of the screen. Like,
You are the shadow's puppet.
let's just keep on playing all the spell cards we want to play. Next we have a game on Steam with a bunch of Asian characters called Sad Boy. That looks like this is a low effort Chinese game. You know, I've never really used the phrase Chinese troll game before, but this might be the first one. Because, like, I always kind of felt like there was no intent to troll as much as it is just an intent to try to make some money when it comes from these bad Chinese games. I've never really felt like they were just trying to troll the Steam store. Alright, next we have this game that I think was already on my follow list called Miasma Caves, that is supposed to be this, I think, pacifist game. I don't think there's actually a fighting in it. It's kind of like a Minecraft type game. It's probably not good, but I've seen some people covering it, so I'll put it on the follow list and keep an eye on it. Early access, $16.99. That's pretty high. You're playing as this character with a tail, for whatever that's worth. But yeah, I'm really not sold on this yet. I'd have to have a lot of people tell me or review it and tell me it's good.
I wonder.
Copy of a spell. Guess we'll do this. And then do this. I could have attacked. I should have attacked. My double posts on Twitter are working, so as soon as the 31st happens and YouTube stops posting videos coming out to Twitter, it should automatically continue to still work, and the double post will then become single posts. So again, apologies for basically a week or two, 10 days of double posts, but it seems to work. Now, the irony will probably be if it turns out that the way YouTube shuts down all of that information is they also shut down if this then that and the API for it, and if that's the case, then it won't work. And oddly, if this then that does seem like it has a service with Twitch, but there's nothing programmed in it as far as an API, so I can't make a applet or a program as well, they call them applets, to do anything with Twitch as the go-to output. Maybe there's something you can do with the input, which means I can't, with if this then that, have it automatically upload all the videos that become public on my YouTube channel like the other website that I was using would. So yeah, it looks like that's just going to stop happening unless I can find some other website. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Retona, which says it's a casual simulation game. I'm not sure what it is. Yeah, it looks more like it's a platformer, arcadey style game. It's kind of weird. I like this thumbnail, but I don't like the idea of what the game actually looked like. So there's something here. Yeah. I guess I'll be generous and put this on the follow list and just see if maybe people really like it. But yeah, it's a platforming box sliding game. Very arcadey feeling. Yeah, I'll be generous and put it on the follow list now. I'm gonna put a lot of things on the follow list. Apparently my YouTube, my Facebook, my Facebook page, or one of them at least, something stopped happening there, and like I don't look at Facebook at all, so like July 31st, 2018, apparently, and they're saying you could reach up to 4.078 people. Is that what it said? 4 people if I paid $30 to Facebook? Yeah, right. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on this. And see kind of what happened that happened like that. This is archive button. Automatically archive photos and videos after they disappear from your story. Only you can see that. Alright. Hey, I've done so little with Facebook because it's just such not an interest to me. Are you gonna win or what? This is... you know what? I'll deal with this later. Like, we're trying to wrap up here. Last thing I need to do is deal with this. There you go. Yeah, neither one of them apparently have been doing anything for quite a while. Alright, I'm gonna concede this. Like, there's like a fan page I made, and then there's a personality person page on Facebook because Facebook is weird. And apparently neither one of them have been getting content for quite a while. The fact that I have not seen really any decline in views at all. I guess we could try Druid and Hunter here. Does go to show that yeah, the random fake accounts of people on Facebook are so prevalent that you're not really going to get any new views that way, and Facebook never really promoted anything, so without you paying them. So Facebook is way worse than even YouTube is for not really promoting content. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Blood Island, which is a ugly MS Paint looking Wolfenstein 3D clone. Easy decision to not put this on the fall list. It's 59 cents discounted. Let's go ahead and play this and take that.
Job's done.
And then return. Next, we have a game on Steam called Elf Episode 0, spelled E-P-I-Z-O-D-E. It again looks horrible, whatever you were gonna want to call it, whether it's a Super Meat Boy clone, platformer, fighter. It's a little bit of 3 different things, discounted for 59 cents. Let's go ahead and play that. Next, we have a game on Steam called Couch Versus, which looks like, I'm pretty sure I've seen this sprite from a very old game, so that doesn't look like new art. Like, it feels like somebody just copied that from an old game. Yeah, and this looks kind of like it's an Ice Climber clone at best. $6.79. and it's single player only. It doesn't, or shared split screen. Oh, that's a new tag. Interesting. But the game certainly isn't interesting.
I won.
Play this. Next we have a game on Steam called Paul! Exclamation point, which, I mean, that idea might go somewhere, but I don't think if I was going to play as a ball throughout the entirety of a story that I'd want it to be a 2D platforming game. I think that's just a little too bit on the nose and obvious. If I was going to make a game where you're playing as a ball, I probably want it to be like a 3D realistic world environment game where the ball just has to get around the real world. It still probably would be platforming. This is $5.39. That's just kind of ridiculous. Really expensive. Right.
I hunt alone.
This. And then play this. And then hit that. Then end the turn. Next we have a game on Steam called Cube Defense, which is a top-down twin-stick shooter, it looks like. Yep, with just cube Unity assets. Now see, this is the exact kind of Unity trees, low polygon Unity asset trees that were in Air Memories of Old that I just finished playing, and boy did that make the game look horrible. Had they just bought realistic 3D assets for that game and reskinned it, it would have been at least pretty enough to maybe catch people's attention for the 3 hours of gameplay that was really in it. This is early access for 59 cents, and of course it's not making it to the wish list.
I can't do that.
Well, this guy's about to attack, and so I want this and this. Next we have a game on Steam called Korma, C-O-R-M-A, which is just an asset flip survival game. It's already got mixed reviews, and it just came out. Early access, it's free. See, this is the thing about releasing your game as free, is people will actually play it, and then people will actually realize it's bad. But I guess it's better to do that than to try and sell it for money and then irritate people and get refunds. Let's see, what can we do here?
I hunt alone.
Suck steel, swine.
Just in the turn there. Gamma Sutra has an article. The longtime CD Projekt Red developer Sebastian Stephan, S-T-E-P-I-E-N, joins Blizzard. This is odd that somebody would be joining Blizzard at the point where everybody seems to be leaving Blizzard. Sebastian Stephan, the creative director of CD Projekt Red's upcoming game Cyberpunk 2077, is seemingly making the jump from the Polish studio to Blizzard Entertainment. As spotted by Reset Era users, Stephan's LinkedIn account now shows him having started at Blizzard in January as creative director on an unnamed project, though that same profile has been updated to show that when he left CD Projekt Red. Stephan spent over 12 years at CD Projekt Red working as a dialogue writer, lead story designer, creative director, and narrative and setting director throughout his time with the company. During that time, Stephan had his hands in the creation of all 3 games in the Witcher series, including several enhanced edition releases, and most recently Cyberpunk 2077. Now, the argument that has been going around quite a bit, and that seems to be very true, is that CD Projekt Red does not treat its employees very well or listen to its employees. So maybe Steven Stefan here, or Sebastian Stefan is his name, decided this was an opportunity where he could leave working for CD Projekt Red and he really didn't have too many other options. Particularly if you're higher up, it's not really a case of a bunch of new companies that need creative directors. So you have to wait till either a creative director is fired, quits, or gets promoted out of that position to fill it. Otherwise, he would have had to take a lower role at some other company, and that's not something you want to do. You don't want to go backwards in your career if you can avoid it. Like, let's see. GameIndustry.biz has an article. Crytek and Improbable bring spatial OS. It's not iOS, it's OS. What else do I need to do? We might have another time for one game here. Paladin or Priest? We played Priest before, we'll play Paladin. On casual. Let's see. The companies will... they bring Spatial OS GTK graphics development kit to the CryEngine. Companies will be able to collaborate with an official GTK following Automotion's open source integration of Maverick's Proving Grounds. Interesting. I'm not sure if Spatial OS is particularly that good, and Spatial OS was the software that was, at least for a short time there, blocked by Unity. Changes in terms of service. So this is kind of a follow-up of what Crytek said they would do to get good press and work with Spatial OS and try and convince people to move from Unity to the CryEngine, which very, very few people would have ever taken them up on that offer, because if you're making a Unity game, it's probably because you don't really have the best programming skill. Unity is designed to be simple and multi-platform. If you're making a CryEngine game, that's AAA level, like push the frames as hard as you can level programming. So it's not a smooth, easy transition, I would say. TechRaptor has an article, Slay the Spire review, Fearful Synergies. So Slay the Spire came out of early access, and they said buy it before it comes out of early access because the price is going to go up. I didn't get around to doing that, and frankly, it kind of felt like you were succumbing to the demands of the developer there to say buy it, pre-order this game before the price goes up, and it's not something I really want to do. I don't negotiate with video game companies for pre-orders. Regardless of that, TechRaptor gave it a 9.5 amazing. Summary: Slay the Spire is vertiginously challenging. Vertiginously? I don't know what that word is. An infinitely replayable roguelike card builder set in a highly original dark fantasy universe. Pros are fascinating fantasy universe, compelling deck building mechanics, frenzied roguelike gameplay, rewards attentive experience, and infinite replay value. The cons is the RNG will often bring you down. So that is that, I suppose. So yeah, at some point I may get around to playing Slay the Spire, but kind of like also Darkest Dungeon, those games tend to get a lot of patches and updates, and I kind of want to Since I didn't get around to it when the game came out originally or when the game was in early access, I kind of wait until there's a complete finalized version where they're not going to add more DLC or content, like a Game of the Year edition. I think we already talked about this, but GameIndustry.biz has an article. Epic Games acquires 3 Lateral, creators of Digital Humans Tools, joins Unreal Engine team, will continue to support its partners in games, film, and TV. Realistic animation and modeling for human characters. The two firms collaborated on an animated short, A Boy and His Kite, designed to show off the Unreal Engine's open world potential. I saw that. It's like an open source video that you can use to test out your computer to see if it can play 4K video. Although I would recommend watching Sintel and downloading that instead. Sintel's a little bit longer of a video to do the same thing. See, they also worked on Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Yeah. Gematsu has an article. Moero, M-O-E-R-O, Chronicle H announced for the Switch. It's due out for January 31st in Japan. This is the one that had a countdown website. It's coming to the eShop. I think it's a visual novel. Let's see. It's a compile heart published game. There's a gallery. I'll go through the gallery. It's just cat girl showing her underwear in one screenshot anime. It's a dungeon crawler. Oh yeah. One of the enemies is like a fairy in a 2-piece bikini anime girl. Another enemy looks to be a cat girl. Another picture here seems to be a pony girl, anime girl. And in this screenshot, she seems to be naked, but there are these hearts covering up everything, which, like, who knows if those hearts will be in the final product or if that's just in the teaser image. So yeah, this is probably a terrible dungeon crawler game trying to sell itself on sex. TechRaptor has an article. Delve underground with a cute dragon girl in Miasma Caves. This is the game we just looked at. Let's see if they give a review score or anything on this. No review score. This is more just an advertisement. For the most part, we'll need to wait and see some real reviews. Although I don't know if I'd particularly just trust any site like TechRaptor's review score alone. I still would want to see people who actually had to pay for the game review it. Moving on, Gematsu has an article. Inmost is coming to the Switch and PC in 2019. It's a Hidden Layers game, atmospheric story-driven puzzle platformer. Let's watch this trailer. Seems like it's kind of shadowy and spooky with 2D pixel art. And I guess if it has a Steam page already, we can do the web peek. Although, in all honesty, I should probably not put this on the follow list. It's from Chucklefish, which I think has a publisher, Chucklefish, I've heard of.
There is little time.
Let's see. This might be something, this might be nothing. There's so many games like this, and sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad. And since it just says available 2019, I think I'll just close this tab for now until we get a more solid release date. Let's see. I want this gone. And then I want this done. TechRaptor has an article. Wargroove releases February 1st on the Switch, PC, and Xbox One for $19.99. Wargroove does not look like a particularly interesting game. I think we may have already even looked at it. It's got an interesting animated opening, but the actual gameplay seems to be pretty simplistic. Again, this is more of a hype article than a review article. We already talked about this, but GameIndustry.biz has the same article. My time at Porsche developer assures voice actors pay issues are resolved. The Chinese studio Pathia Games accused of paying little to nothing for dialogue in the crowd-funded RPG. So it seems like there might be a little bit more to the story there in the GameIndustry.biz article. Moving on though, GameIndustry.biz has a different article. Capcom expands the Street Fighter esports efforts in US. Street Fighter Pro League kicks off this April, aims to find new professional players. Let's hope this time they actually run some background vetting on their players. That's unfair because I don't think that actually was Street Fighter. I think that was a completely different esports game where a esports player was pretending to be a female and then turned out he wasn't. TechRaptor has an article. A classic low polygon DLC is headed to the Resident Evil 2 remake. That's probably just skin mods, if I was to guess, for the main characters. I doubt that this is going to be an instance where it low polygons the entirety of the game. And honestly, that's just a bit of silliness. Yeah, it says these costumes join a long list of retro concept and new designs for the game's protagonists, such as a film noir costume and a black and white filter. So yeah, it's really just skins. It's not, I don't think, the entirety of the game. And why would you want to do that? Like, why in the world would you want to play the remake looking like that? So we got all 3 daily quests done, so we're a little bit ahead. And I just have a little bit more news, so let's just sit here and wrap it up real quick. GameIndustry.biz has an article. Riot Games announces UK as the home of the first League of Legends Regional Championships. You can look up that article if you're more interested in that. I am not. TechRaptor has an article. Real-time strategy game Bannerman releasing this February. Again, this is more of a hype article, so we can just wait until it actually comes out. Game at Citra has the article with CryEngine's Spatial OS GDK in the works. Crytek reaffirms its open platform goals. We already kind of talked about that. TechRaptor has an article. Sam speaks to Windy Games about Miasma Caves, pacifism, books, and more. So this is just an article interviewing the creator of Miasma Caves. It's a pretty long article, but I'm not really interested in reading it. And that leaves us about 4 games on Steam to talk about. So we have a game on Steam called In the Ember, which looks like it's an RPG Maker game. This actually might have come out a couple days ago because I knew I had a little bit of a backlog. Yeah, there's nothing here. English language not supported. It's $1.63 discounted, and it's just a Chinese RPG game of no real interest. And let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Melee Free Demo Battle Royale. Clearly this is somebody just trying to make a PUBG Fortnite clone. Probably a Chinese company. $15.99. English and Chinese, yeah. No surprise there, that's not gonna get on the list. And a couple more. We have a game on Steam called Butterbees, which looks like a kid-friendly game. Is it like a Tamagotchi style game that's been ported to PC? This doesn't look terrible, but it also just kind of looks like a simplistic cell phone game that's been ported. $2.99, the price is not bad, but I'm not going to put this on the follow list either. Let's see. Stroke and tickle your virtual pet egg and they will respond. Decorate your pet's home, dress up your pet, adopt new eggs from the nursery, feed, clean, and take care of your virtual pet. Yeah. It's just a virtual pet game. Nothing there that would make it worth actually playing. There'd have to be something more to the game for me to play something like that. And finally we have Monster Trampoline, which looks like it's just a fighting game on platforms, really small platforms. I don't know if maybe these monsters bounce around like they're on a trampoline a lot, or wow, actually this looks more like the game Jacks or Marbles than, yeah, it's like a physics, drop monsters and other monsters to try and knock them out of the ring. I guess it would be closer to Marbles than Jacks. This is $3.99 and it's kind of just a physics game, just like a demo. It's a little bit polished, but again, there need to be something more to this. It would have to have some puzzle levels and some ideas and a story behind it, and I'm pretty sure none of that is going to exist. And that puts us at the Humble Bundle store, which we'll just see if there's any new bundle worth mentioning. Let's see, the Double Fine bundle is still going on. And then there's this bundle called Caffeine, Humble Caffeine Bundle, which is Headlander, which I already own, Goner Blueberry Edition, which I've never heard of, Tread Knots, which I've never heard of, and Caffeine, I believe, is actually a piece of software. It's not a Steam key that you would get. And if you pay more than the average of $6.87, you'd get This War Is Mine, Kinfall Is the Pillars of Earth, and Dear Esther Landmark Edition. And if you pay $12 or more, you'll get Tyranny, Shadow Tactics, Blood of the Shogun. And nothing super interesting there. And we started relatively late this Wednesday, so I don't think there's really gonna be any major new announcements that I can't just put off for Friday as far as the stream. So yeah, I'm not gonna scroll down my Twitter and make this longer. Oops. That's gonna be it for this recording. as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.